Welcome, Trio. Today we're going to go over solving rational equations. A rational equation is an equation in fractions where the denominator has a variable. So today we're going to work with this example, and the way to do these is to always factor first. So first we're going to factor this and rewrite it in factored form. So we have x over x plus 2 minus, but notice here we have a minus x. We can switch this around by factoring out a negative. So we have 7 over minus x minus 5 equals 14 over x squared minus 3x minus 10. We're going to factor that. We get x over x plus 2. Negative times negative is a positive. These two negatives make a positive. 7 over x minus 5 equals 14 over, and we're lucky. When we factor this, it actually comes out to be these two denominators. So we get x minus 5 times x plus 2. X times x is x squared. Minus 5 plus 2 is a minus 3. Minus 5 times 2 is a minus 10. So these factors are these two denominators as well. Now we need to state our restricted values. So x cannot equal negative 2, and x cannot equal positive 5. If we plug in negative 2 plus 2, we get 0 in the denominator. That makes it undefined. If I plug in positive 5 minus 5, we get 0 in the denominator. That makes it undefined. So these are restricted values. Now we can solve this, keeping in mind our restricted values. Multiplied by the LCD, x plus 2, x minus 5, times the whole equation, x over x plus 2 plus 7 over x minus 5 equals 14 over x minus 5 x plus 2, close bracket. Using the distributive property, this cancels with this one, so we have x times x minus 5. This cancels with this one, we get plus 7 times x plus 2 equals 14. These both cancel. Now we just distribute, we get x squared minus 5x plus 7x plus 14 equals 14. Combining like terms, we get x squared plus 2x. Moving the 14 over, it cancels with this 14, equals 0. These two cancel out. Here we can factor x out, and we get x times x plus 2 equals 0. Using the 0 property in algebra, we can make two equations, x equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0, x equals 0 or x equals negative 2. Now, these are two answers, but we have a restricted value, so we have to reject this answer. It's no good. Then we have to verify that this is a solution by plugging it in and checking. If I put in 0, 0 in the numerator makes this 0. 0 here makes this negative 7/5. I'm just going to write negative 7/5. Plugging in 0 here, does that really equal 14 over 0, 0, negative 0 minus 10 is 14 over negative 10. And this comes out reducing this here, we get the same answer. It verifies that it checks out. Therefore, this is our only solution. Because again, this was a restricted value, we have to reject x minus 2. I'll be back with another example. Welcome back. Here's another example solving rational equations. We have x over x minus 5 plus 2 over x minus 6 equals 2 over x squared minus 11x plus 30. We solve this. Always remember to factor first. X over x minus 5 plus 2 over x minus 6 equals 2 over, let's factor this. The factors here, we can see what times what makes 30, 5 and 6. That also makes 11. So it's going to be both negative, x minus 5, x minus 6. Okay. Now that we factored it, we need to state our restricted values. So x cannot equal 5 and x cannot equal 6. If we substitute x with 5, we get 0 in the denominator. 5 over 0 is undefined. If I put 6 in the denominator, I get 2 over 0, which is undefined. So we can't have those numbers. Now, we can multiply by the LCD, which is these two factors. X minus 5 x minus 6 times the whole equation, x over x minus 5 plus 2 over x minus 6 equals 2 over x minus 5 x minus 6. When we use the distributive property here, we get the following. X times x minus 6, this and this cancels. 2 times x minus 5, this and this cancels. Both of these cancel, so we just have 2. Using the distributive property, we get x squared minus 6x plus 2x minus 10 equals 2. Have a quadratic equation. You set everything equal to 0. Combine like terms. We get x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0. Here we can factor this as x minus 6, x plus 2 equals 0. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. X minus 6 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. Using the zero property rule in algebra, solving, we get x equals 6, or x equals negative 2. Remember, our restricted value was 6. This is no good, so this is our only solution. X equals negative 2. I'll be back with one more example. Thank you. Welcome back. Here's our final example for solving rational equations. Again, when you have an equation like this, you need to factor first. So let's factor. This one becomes x minus 6, x plus 2, that gives us negative 12, that gives us a negative 4. This one is going to be minus 6 minus 1. That gives us a negative 7. That gives us a positive 6. This one positive 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Positive 2 minus 1 is a positive 1. So these are the factors here. Let's write our restricted values. X cannot equal 1. X cannot equal negative 2. And x cannot equal 6. So these are restricted values. Let's work this problem out. LCD is going to be all three factors. X minus 6, x plus 2, x minus 1. 3 over x minus 6, x plus 2, minus x minus 3 over x minus 6, x minus 1, equals x over x plus 2, x minus 1. Using the distributive property to clear our fractions, we get the following. 3 times these two cancel, we get x minus 1. Minus x minus 3 times these two cancel, we get x plus 2. X times these two cancel, this one and this one, we get x minus 6. Okay, now we distribute and FOIL and see what we get. X times x is x squared. Minus 3 plus 2 is minus x. Minus 3 times 2 is negative 6. Using the distributive property here, we can rewrite this as 3x minus 3 minus x squared plus x plus 6. Moving this over, we get minus x squared plus 6x equals 0. Combining like terms, minus x squared gives you a negative 2x squared. This one and this one. This one, this one, and this one will give us 3, 4, 10. Minus 3 plus 6 is just plus 3 equals 0. Now we can use the quadratic formula. Knowing that we have A, B, and C, but we never really like to have the leading coefficient being a negative. So I'm going to multiply everything by -1, and -1 times -2x squared plus 10x plus 3 equals -1 times 0. 2x squared minus 10x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, so this is A, this is B, this is C. Let's find out what x is. X equals minus B plus minus square root B squared minus 4AC over 2A. So minus B is going to be a minus 10, which is a positive 10, plus minus square root 10, -10 squared minus 4 times 2 times -3, all divided by 2 times A, which is 2. Rewriting that, simplifying that, we get the following. 10 plus minus square root 100 minus times a minus is a positive. That gives us 24. Let's see, this is 6 times 4 is 24. All over 4. So x equals 10 plus minus square root 124 all over 4. Okay, here we can find the if a number is divisible by 4 by taking half of it and seeing if it's even. 124, if I take half, that's going to be 62. 62 is even, that means I could take half again, or I could divide 124 by 4. So let me do that and say 10 plus minus square root 4 times 31 all over 4. 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12. We can take the square root of the 4, it factors out. Now that gives us 10 plus minus 2 square root 31 all over 4, which gives us 5 plus minus square root 31. Let me write it a little bit higher. 4, 10 plus minus square root 31 all over 2. This is a 5. Because these three numbers are even, we can divide each of them by 2. We get 5 plus minus square root 31 all over 2 as our final answer. Thank you. Go Trio!